So on one hand, I invest, advise, and sit on boards of the most progressive, innovative, tech-driven, forward-thinking companies. On the other hand, I've built a career of turning around and scaling already scaled global organizations and doing the hard work of innovating within those mature companies. They seem like completely different worlds, but there's much to connect and learn between them. And one of the things that I've learned from the high growth world that helps me help leaders in the large scaled company world to not kill great ideas, to not squash innovation, is to redefine failure in the company. So if people are afraid to fail, if people are constrained by their compensation systems and their existing bonus systems, they will protect the past at all costs. People at entry levels, people in the middle, and the leaders in the organization. And often I find there is not an alignment to drive innovation. So it gets killed in some odd pocket of the company, and then people sit around and wonder why they're getting crushed by the competition in a particular channel or a particular market. So one is to keep confronting reality. Who, even if you're wildly successful, who is doing more than you in a particular area with less? Who's candidly better than you in this part of the business? And the tough part for big companies is the future competition right now is small. It's like a sand gnat. And so it doesn't show up on your radar. In aggregate, they're siphoning off your employees, your customers, and your other stakeholders, maybe even your investors. But individually, you don't notice them. So you don't know the enemy that you're battling. And therefore, you don't feel as motivated in your own company to inflict pain. Why would I inflict pain, which is change, in my own mature, successful company when things aren't terrible? But just because things aren't terrible and just because they could be worse doesn't mean you don't have the responsibility to make them better. Modern leaders are constantly seeding innovation and culture to help the company build for the future, because the future comes faster. Every year, the future comes faster. Think about what's changed in the last 2 years. Forget the last 2 years. Some leaders say that's an outlier. Fair enough. Look at what happened the 10 years prior. Running focus brands and building restaurants, one of the greatest disruptions in North America was delivery, third-party delivery. Many of my franchisees did not want to put their food in the hands of some stranger to have it delivered to someone's door that wasn't their brand. That was unthinkable 10 years ago. 8 years ago, I was trying to push it as an early mover. But we had businesses overseas in densely populated cities where over 50% of their business already came from delivery. It was true for Kuwait, with Cinnabon in Kuwait. It was true in Saudi. It was true in New York, but not in Indianapolis and not in Dallas. And so this work of helping people who don't have an urgent, burning need to innovate see the importance for their future is incredibly difficult, but necessary. It is difficult, but necessary. A leader has to always be seeding enough sand in that oyster, enough friction so that people know this is not just a distraction. This is not an outlier. This isn't the leader looking at the shiny object. This is in fact what great companies do. They are constantly looking forward to the future, asking what of this is relevant to us? Out of what's relevant, what is of interest to us to put into our model, and then what's scalable. And then you're constantly seeding that in a way that doesn't distract the whole company and that is protected from your previous investments, your compensation systems, all the things that are innovation killers. You got to put it in an incubator. There's a reason these things are called that. It's got to have the chance to go from seed to sprout inside the organization. And most innovation approaches do not get past that phase in big companies. But there are large companies that have figured this out, that do know how to incubate, cultivate, and give it a chance to win when it's new, and then have found the right time to infuse it in the more mature part of their organization. But that's not a one-off activity. It's going on at all times. There are always many of these initiatives going on in modern companies that seem to be future-proof.